Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Hot News, the show with hot news and even hotter news. I'm Brett Evans, and today I'm joined by my special guest, Hot News. Why don't you guys sit around and enjoy? Also, don't forget that Hot News is brought to you by UFD Deals, the website with the hottest deals from around the internet, conglomerating all your tech stuff and brings this so that you save a little bit of money, we make a little bit of money, and it makes the world a happier place since Hot News gets to keep going. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. Link for that will be in the video description. And with that being said, let's start by interviewing our first guest, Hot News. So let's first up talk about something that is guaranteed to run hot, because it's hot. So IBM and Everspin have announced a 19 terabyte NVMe SSD with MRAM cache. MRAM stands for magnetoresistive RAM, which is one of the fastest and highest endurance non-volatile memory technologies currently available. IBM and Everspin are combining these technologies into this giant behemoth of a storage drive. Is this something you want in your system? Because I do. I guarantee you Linus is gonna create a server with a bajillion of these. That's how this has to go down. There's no way that Linus will not have all of them. In case 19 terabytes might not be your speed, Samsung is introducing 4 terabyte consumer drives that might be a little bit more affordable. The QLC technology has 4 bits per cell, it's based on 1 terabit VNAND, and can have read and write speeds exceeding 500 megabytes per second, which is about as fast as you need an SSD to go. This is amazingly fast. This is a super high capacity. Prices are not yet indicated. Hopefully it doesn't cost the entire GDP of Latveria. Speaking of making a lot of money, guess what is costing a lot of money? HTC's downfall. It appears that revenues for HTC were horrendous in July. They came out to $45.7 million, which is down 37% from June, and then is down 77% from July a year previous. The monthly figures are the lowest since the companies had them back in August of 2003. This is due to the fact that their smartphones just aren't keeping up in the modern era, as well as the fact that they're investing in VR technology, which hasn't seen any major breakthroughs that's allowing them to make a whole lot of money off of it. Maybe that's coming soon. I don't really have hope for it. All they want to do is sell really expensive stuff like the Vive Pro, which is not going to help it gain mass adoption. But then I'm also sure that if they try to sell cheaper units, that it's not going to allow them to make up for the revenue, because they're going to be spending, or no, I guess revenue would increase. Profits would go down because, I mean, they're selling more, but they're not making anything. So, I mean, it's basically a terrible situation for HTC right now. They haven't had a great smartphone in a while. VR is not really going anywhere. It's sad. Speaking of things that nobody wants, Skype is terrible. The update's horrible, and Microsoft apparently is kind of giving into that by saying that they're not going to get rid of Skype Classic immediately, that you're allowed to keep it. But I mean, the new Skype is just horrendous. The interface is garbage. They try to make it a social media platform, which doesn't even make sense, because who uses it that way? Who's going to use it that way? Stop trying to make Skype cool, Microsoft. Skype's never going to be cool. It's just used for video calling, and even then it's getting obsolete. This at least is okay. They're not shutting it down immediately, but eventually they will, because it's Microsoft and they have to keep advancing, and it's just making us accommodate to their will. But I'm happy for this news right now, but I also know that the future is very grim for Skype, because the current Skype platform sucks, especially on mobile. It's absolutely horrible, and I have no way of reverting, but at least on the desktop I'm still on Skype Classic. Are you guys on Skype Classic? Skype new? Don't use Skype? Let me know. Comments. Updates that people might actually want. Android 9 is now coming to Pixel devices, also known as Android Pie, because that's the best thing they could come up with for the letter P. Apparently, it's not just available for Pixel devices though, because the Essential phone apparently also has it now. They announced that 30 seconds after Google announced their, you can get Android 9 now if you're on a Pixel device. Well, now you can get it on Essential phone as well. Obviously, this is all still in beta. My favorite description of what Android 9 is currently is the early betas. So this comes from The Verge. It says, early betas of Android P had significant jank, which is to say moving UI elements around felt choppy and not at all fluid. You guys excited for Android 9? Do you want me to update my Pixel 2 XL and then maybe do a video on my favorite features? That's not really content we do here, but I'm curious to hear if you guys would be interested in it. You folk, people, humans, let me know down in the comments. Again, moving on. Speaking of even more updates, Kingston, also known as the people who do HyperX, are now bringing a PlayStation 4 updated version of their cloud headset. They're some of my favorite cheap budget gaming headsets. They're not cheap, they're not budget, but they're one of my favorite set of gaming headsets that you could possibly get, and now they're getting console peasantized. More terrible updates. Fallout 76 will not be on Steam because Bethesda are poopy heads, I guess. I don't want to seem salty about this. You can only download Fallout 76 on Bethesda.net. Not going to be available on Steam, which is a disappointment. I mean, obviously they wouldn't want Valve, another game manufacturer, having sole rights of distribution of their game, which is fine, but I would at least appreciate if it was on there, but like, whatever. This isn't a big deal for me. I'm not going to even play the game, so I don't know why I'm complaining about it. Also, terrible game choices. There is now a mod for Final Fantasy 15 on the Steam Workshop that turns your characters in their PlayStation 1 textures. So yes, you can have giant blockheads with it looks awful. Watch the video that's on the screen. This is like, wow. But I so want it.
Fine. And now in more gaming news, more in my side of the field. The AI overlords will finally be taking over. They have officially beaten humans. We are now completely useless. It took place Sunday evening. I believe the OpenAI 5 system played against 5 humans made up of previous talent, all ranked within the top 500 players in the world, and they actually beat them in a best of 3. There were, of course, some conditions that had to take part. It was limited to 18 heroes instead of the standard 100 plus that you can pick from in the game. And of course, it was limited to the drafting phase and seeing percentages of win rates. These bots actually learned how to play at a stunning rate of 180 years of gameplay worth per day. Which is kind of exciting and incredibly impressive. And they will be taking part at the International to see how they fare against the top best of the best players in Dota 2. So we're really excited about that.
Get out, Mike. No, nobody said that you were allowed to take over for me, okay? Get out of here, give me that, be gone, okay? No. Just because I walk away for a second doesn't mean that you're allowed to come and do hot news, all right? This is my job, not yours. Stay at your editing desk. Okay?
Burn in the comments!
I don't know what he said. I think he said burn me in the comments. So you guys know what to do. CPU news tab. Lenovo has apparently leaked the specifications of the Ryzen 3 2300X and the Ryzen 5 2500X. This is in a list for their ThinkCenter M725 SFF platform specifications, indicating that the 2300X 4 cores, 4 threads, 3.5 gigahertz base, 4 gigahertz boost, and the 2500X has 4 cores, 8 threads, 3.6 gigahertz base, 4 gigahertz boost, and then can support up to DDR4 2933 RAM each. Good job, Lenovo. You've been really the greatest source of leaks over the past few weeks. We very much appreciate it. And in case you've been having troubles running Windows 7 on your brand new Intel Coffee Lake machine, Intel thinks they have a solution for you. They're coming out with a brand new chipset to address some of the USB driver issues that they've been having with the current motherboards that exist for Coffee Lake. So this chipset is going to be called the H310C, and hopefully will allow for the legacy USB drivers to exist and make it easier for you to actually install Windows 7. It's not like you couldn't get it going, but it like you have to slipstream stuff, and that's always a mess. And I mean, it honestly can just be a giant nightmare to get Windows 7 to work on Coffee Lake. It's not impossible, but it obviously Intel is making it easier by producing an H310C chipset. Does this interest you guys at all? Windows 7, like, are you guys even on it? Is there a like, have you been holding off on upgrading to Coffee Lake because you're on Windows 7? I'm curious. Let me know down in the comments. Then we have a report out of Tech Power Up that the Coffee Lake refresh will be announced on August 14th, which is this coming Tuesday, but will only be a giant paper launch, which means that no actual chips will likely be available at retail, or if they are, it will be in very limited quantities. Whether or not this is true, we still don't know. Obviously, we had the report saying that Coffee Lake refresh was supposed to be launched on August 1st, but now it looks like October or even Q4. What the Tech Power article indicates is that it could be August 14th for the announcement, and then actual shipment of these CPUs would come in October, which kind of fits in line with things. But all of this is just continuing to show that Intel still has no idea what's going on with their consumer desktop platform. Even though they still hold the top of the reins for best performance, they're kind of, I mean, A700K, it's great, but the 7700K didn't need to exist. And the fact that this is now obsolete to the 9900K makes me a little frustrated. You know who's not frustrated though? Der Bauer, because he just set the world record for their dual socket system. He did this by using a couple of Epic servers, liquid cooling the entire server, including the RAM and everything in it. And he had like the server fans blowing the liquid across everything to keep everything cool. And he set about a 10,000 point benchmark in Cinebench, which is only second second in the world to a quad-socket 28-core Xeon system. So great stuff by DeBauer. He actually said he's going to have this system on display at Gamescom in Germany in just a couple of weeks, so you should definitely check that out. Also, check out the video linked in the video description, or also up there in the top right-hand corner for you guys to check it out. DeBauer does crazy things. He's a genius. He knows exactly what he's doing with tech stuff. You guys should absolutely see how he made this happen because he's amazing. Speaking of multiple processors, there is a technology that is up and coming called chiplets, where you put multiple CPUs on things and then you connect them via an active interposer instead of a passive interposer like we use right now. There's an article out by Semiconductor Engineering which details all of the things that are going on in the chiplet race in order for companies to come out with chiplet-based processors. So you can check out that article. It'll be in the very description below because it's a very complicated and nuanced thing, so it's better if you guys read. Or alternatively, you can check out Adore TV's 2 videos that he produced on that. We'll link one of them in the top right-hand corner, then you can follow on to the next one when you're done. But basically, he goes through exactly what chiplets are, why they're important, how they could potentially be used, and whether or not that's going to mean a lot for consumers like you and I, and how that might play out for things like the Epic Rome servers that might be coming out. And then in our only bit of GPU news for today, it's another rumor, my friends. Well, technically it's not a rumor, but IDA64 adds preliminary support for GV104 and GV102 graphics cards, which could potentially indicate that the upcoming GTX 1180, 2080, 1180, 562 will be based on Volta and should be coming soon. Whether or not that this is an actual thing, because it says it's adding preliminary GPU information, we still don't know if this is actually any relevant information or if they're just coding something into the program so that it can recognize it if it does indeed exist. It's a whole bunch of leaks. We got that one yesterday that said it was GA104, still GT104 floating around. Volta, Ampere, Turing, nobody knows. That's basically where this rumor leaves us. Or this bit of news. It's not really a rumor. It exists. They did it. It's just, it doesn't mean a whole lot. And then in one of our headline news pieces for today, and is anybody really shocked by this? The FCC head admits that they kind of lied about them being DDoSed with the comments that came in about net neutrality about a year ago. So in case you don't remember this, Ajit Pai, who is the head of the FCC, said that they were a victim of distributed denial of service attacks for the comments that were coming in on the public response to net neutrality. The agency said that it didn't document the attack and that sharing details would put them at a further security risk, which everybody was like, that's super fishy. That doesn't sound like somebody who was actually attacked would do. Well, it turns out that, yeah, they admit that that DDoS attack never actually happened, and then the server just went down. Whether that's due to them taking it down or it's due to them just not knowing how to run a server, receiving a whole bunch of comments, nobody knows. But the comments came out from Ajit Pai basically blaming everybody else besides himself. He stated, "It has become clear that in addition to a flawed comment system we inherited from the prior administration, thanks Obama, a culture in which many members of Commission's career IT staff were hesitant to express disagreement with the Commission's former CIO in front of FCC management. Thankfully, I believe that this situation has improved over the course of the last year, but in the wake of this report, we will make it clear that those working on information technology at the Commission are encouraged to speak up if they believe that inaccurate information is being provided to Commission leadership." Basically, he's saying, thanks, Obama, you left me with a crappy CIO who basically gave me something that I couldn't run, and then I lied about it being DDoSed, and now it's not my fault. It's not my fault. I'm pro-people, even though I don't want net neutrality to exist, and I also used to work for Verizon, and I'm probably in their pockets. Don't worry about any of that. No, Obama, not me. I didn't do it. It's prior administration. I'm not going to get into the political stuff here, but I mean, it's just clear that Ajit Pai is appealing to his higher power, making sure that he's staying in good graces with certain people, regardless of what the American public thinks of him. I guess he can just enjoy his giant Reese's Pieces mug. Will you turn into my mug? This is Reese. I'm going to drink. That was weird. And that's all the hot news I have for you guys today. I'm going to wrap it up there. Let me know what you think of the FCC lying about crap. Let me know what you think about Android 9, also known as Pi. Anything at all that we talked about today down below in the comments. I'm keen to hear what you guys have to say. I'm going to wrap it up there. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Please get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech-related content. Your subscription does mean the world to us. We very much appreciate it. I'm Brett with the UFD Tech channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see your smiling faces again in the next video. Love you too.